Hello and welcome to the Inner Codes of the Beautiful. We are in the midst of extraordinarily challenging times, even dark times. There's a sense of foreboding and gloom in most quarters, if not everywhere. And it's at perhaps these times that we need to try and see what we can draw from the ancient Indian tradition, what the ancient rishis have handed over to us, and that can perhaps help us to draw a sense of succor and give us a sense of calm. The ancient seers, the rishis, have always understood the power of sound. They were always fascinated by it, and they reflected deeply on the nature of sound. They tried to understand its dynamics, and they tried to understand the mechanics involved in tapping into the power of sound. This is what has been handed over to us over generations as the mantra shastra. We shall try and understand this secret tradition that's been handed over to us over centuries, if not millennia. And we shall try and understand how mantras work, what the mechanics are, and also try and understand some of the great mantras that mankind has resorted to draw from its power, to give us a sense of clarity, a sense of calm, and to tap into the divine energies through the vehicle of the mantras. So, over the course of the next few episodes, we shall take up these great mantras, perhaps these legendary mantras, and try and understand how we can tap into the power of these mantras and tap into the power of sound. The Vedas are amongst the oldest scriptures available to mankind today, if not the oldest, and the Vedas are roughly estimated to be at least 5,000 years old, if not more. And the Vedas are understood to be revealed scriptures. They were not authored by any individual human or even groups of humans. And when one says revealed, what one means is that this was revealed wisdom or revealed divine wisdom that the ancient seers, the enlightened seers or the rishis were receptacles of. The rishis understood that this was inspired, deeply inspired poems that they received when they were in deep states of meditation. In fact, that's why they refer to it as dhi being the root word for dhyana or meditation. So in moments when they were in deep states of meditation, they would burst out with these inspired poems or suktas that spoke of the nature of the divine, that being the truth of the divine, and hence they were called the Vedas. Ved literally means truth. And this wisdom was not understood or intellectual wisdom. It was wisdom as was seen, and hence they were called darshanas. In fact, one does not merely intellectually understand the Veda. A true understanding of Veda is to see the truth of the Vedas. That is why it's called darshanas. And this kind of inspired wisdom was given to us in the form of suktas or poems. And from these suktas, the mantras were derived. So the Rig Veda, for instance, has 10 mandalas or 10 chapters of suktas. And from these suktas, there are more than 10,500 mantras that are derived. So from the various Vedas, you have the Riks. Riks are mantras that are derived from the Rig Veda, the Saman from the Sama Veda, the Yajus from the Yajur Veda, and the Nigada are chantings of the Yajus that are loudly spoken, which is again from the Yajur Veda. So these are mantras that have been drawn from the Vedas and the rishis gave to us, and that becomes the source of the mantras that we have today. Mantras have a very important foundational premise. The premise is that it is from name that form emerges, not the other way around. So what that means is sound has the power of creation. The Shastras tell us that the Pranava mantra or the Om was the first sound that emerged at the beginning of creation or the beginning of manifest universe. So what that means is sound has the power of creation, and also that sound has the power of creation at all levels, at physical, mental, emotional and spiritual levels. One hence has to take a lot of care when one chants a mantra, and hence it's always advised that chanting of mantras is done with the guidance of a guru or a mentor. There's a good reason behind this. The reason behind this is that when one chants a mantra, the sound begins to create an image in the mind. The image that one creates in the mind has to be positive and enabling, and in fact help one in spiritual progress. But when unwittingly, when one chooses the wrong mantra or chants mantras in the wrong way, one can end up allowing the wrong image to take form in the mind, which essentially means you're letting the wrong form to take hold of the mind. Hence, it's very important that one gets the mantra from the guru or the mentor and the mantras are chanted correctly. And also it's very important that when one gets into states of meditation, deep states of meditation, dhyana, it's very important that one is always protected by the mantra. Because when one is not protected by the mantra, one again allows other negative energies to take hold and create forms in the mind. And these negative energies could be various negative energies in the form of negative beings, in the sense that we refer to them sometimes as spirits and so on. We need to understand what a spirit means here. If one understands that every being has a soul, an atma, we also understand that when the body perishes at the time of death, the atma does not have a body. So what it means is we are embodied spirits. As long as we are alive, we have a body. The atma is there. We have a spirit, but we are embodied spirits. At the time of the body perishing, at the time of death, the spirit continues to exist. But the body not being there, they become disembodied spirits. If we as humans understand that humans are of different nature, you will find people who are well-intentioned, virtuous and positive. You'll also find people, some people, who have a lot of negative energies, even malevolent energies. Now what happens when the body perishes? The ones that are positive enabling become gentle spirits, enabling spirits, become guiding spirits. But the ones that anyway had the malevolence and negativity in them, when they do not have a body, they become malevolent spirits. Of course, this is only one example. There are many other examples. Now, these kind of energies, these energies in the form of spirits, because they operate at a much subtler level, have the ability to take over the mind. Hence, it's very, very important that when mantras are chanted, the correct mantra is chanted, the right image is allowed to take form in the mind and guide an individual. The primary function of a mantra is in fact to protect the mind. Mantra comes from the root words mana and trai. Mana being the mind, the spirit, the consciousness. Trai means protection. So mantra literally means whatever that protects the mind. Now, while we go about chanting a mantra in order to have our spiritual progress and also have our mind protected, how do we know we have the right form of the divine guiding us and protecting us? What one needs to do is to think of your kalpita murti, which means any form of the divine that one has an affinity towards. Someone could worship Lord Shiva, someone could worship Lord Krishna, someone could worship the divine feminine, the goddess, someone could worship Jesus. It doesn't matter. You think of the deity you have an affinity towards and chant the word, the mantra Hari 3 times as you deeply think about the deity that you have an affinity towards. So when one chants Hari 3 times, the Kalpatamurti takes a certain form, and whatever form emerges in your mind is the form that is going to open the doors of your mind and enable spiritual progress. Now the question is, why does Hari have such an important role to play in opening the doors of the mind? The answer lies in the 5th house of a chart or of a horoscope. The natural 5th house is Leo, and Leo is symbolized by the lion. Now Hari literally means a lion. So a repetitive chanting of Hari opens the doors of the mind. In fact, the 5th house hence is called as a mantrasthana, the seat of the mind. And a repetition of the mantra Hari opens up the doors of the mind. And the doors of the mind is the first step in your spiritual journey and your spiritual progress. And the idea of repetition is to instill the mind so that it is in a position to receive higher energies, divine energies. Now, Hari represents a Leo, the natural 5th. What happens if we slightly change that particular mantra to Hara? Instead of Hari, we say Hara. When one changes the mantra to Hara, then we are opening the doors of the natural 11th house of Aquarius. Hara is Rudra, Shiva in the form of Rudra. Hara, interestingly, is also the meaning of the word donkey. Just like Hari meant the lion, Hara means a donkey. Now, why would Hara mean a donkey? And the association with Aquarius. Aquarius is the house where one suffers for one's sins committed in the many lifetimes. So every single individual in any lifetime is carrying the sins and the burden of all the past sins done in many lifetimes. When one chants Hara, one is seeking to placate Rudra, Lord Shiva in the form of Rudra, and placating him so that he forgives you for all your past sins and helps you spiritually progress, lighten the burden of past sins, and then help you spiritually progress. So Hara is the mantra to placate Lord Shiva. What does Haru means? Instead of Hari, Hara, now what does Haru means? When we have the U, the vowel, to Haru. Haru signifies Taurus, and Taurus is the point where the moon exalts. Moon signifies the mind, and this equipoise, balance of the mind, is the exaltation of the mind, and hence Harun is also the name of Lord Buddha, one who has equipoise, balance of mind. What about Hare, where we again change from Hari to Hara to Haru to Hare? Hare is also Hareshwara, which means Hareshwara is both Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Hare is the mantra that helps you in transformations, in secret transformations. The reason being, Hare is associated with the natural 8th house of Scorpio, and hence it opens you up to secret transformations and gives you the knowledge of the occult or Paravidya. So here we see how from a root word Ha, which has a very deep and profound significance, when the mantra changes by the change of vowel, the associated vowel with the Ha, from Hari to Hara to Haru to Hare, the meaning changes, the form, the image that takes hold of your mind also changes, and the eventual outcome and implication also changes. Hence, it's very, very important to know that a single sound in a mantra can completely alter the form that takes in your mind, and hence the road then you will spiritually travel also will naturally change. And the two important lessons we need to understand from this is that, one, we need to chant the right mantra. Second, we also need to studiously, diligently go about chanting the mantra, because it is a repetition of the sound that allows the image to take hold in the mind. Now that we understand the workings of a mantra and the care to be taken when one chants a mantra, then one has a very legitimate question, very important question to ask. How do we know the authenticity of a mantra? How do we know the mantra's sources are authentic and it has roots in very inspired sources? The mantra shastra specifies a system of Viniyoga, Viniyoga being a system of division, apportionment. And there are 6 important elements for any mantra. The first element is what is called as the Rishi, Rishi being the Rishi or the enlightened seer who has given us the mantra. The Devata is the second element. Devata is the deity or the form of the divine who blesses us. And then we have the Chandas. Chandas is the meter in which one has to recite or chant the mantra. Then you have the Bija, which is the primary sound around which the mantra has been created. Then you have the Shakti. Shakti is the sound that gives power and direction to the mantra. And then we have the Kilaka or the pin or the key that unlocks the mantra. So these are the 6 elements. Now, I was talking about the Pranava mantra being the most ancient mantra. It's a primordial mantra. It's credited with the creation of the entire universe. Now, even the Pranava mantra has a Viniyoga. The Viniyoga for Pranava mantra is Om Pranava mantrasya Gautama Atri Bharadwaja Brahmarishi Brahma Gayatri Chandaha Paramatma Devata Shuklavarna Ankara Bijam Unkara Shakti Mankara Kilakam Sarvakarya Aramba Viniyoga. This is the Viniyoga for the Pranava mantra. What does that mean? It means Om Pranava Mantrasya. We are talking about the Pranava mantra and we are worshipping that specific mantra. Gautama Atri Bharadwaja Brahma Rishi. These are the 3 Brahma Rishis who gave us the mantra. The Devata is Paramatma in the color of white. Ankara Bija. Ankara, the seed sound. Bija is Unkara Shakti. The Shakti is Mankara Kilakam. The Kilaka or the key is Mam. And the use or the Prayoga is Sarvakarya Aramba, for any beginnings, any auspicious beginnings. So this is the Viniyoga for the Pranava mantra. Now that we have a good understanding, then we can step into the world of the legendary mantras and perhaps even draw from them. I hope you liked this episode of the new series on mantras, the legendary mantras. Thanks for joining me. I'll look forward to seeing you next week.